Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Sam's33 here, and welcome to the show about Pokemon TCG stuff, mix-up, and today we're talking about Umbreon and Glaceon and all those other evolutions for this episode of Mix-Up. Definitely one of the more interesting cards of Plasma Freeze, even if it does use generally boring attackers. Of course, the ability, nice ability, both of them good cards, and I've made a few decks around them, so, you know, if you want to like those cards, if you like Umbreon and Glaceon, which are two pretty fan favorite Pokemon, you might like this episode. It's a fun deck to build. You can get very creative with it. My builds are probably kind of boring ones, but you can definitely get very creative with Umbreon. I've seen Puka from the Top Cut make an Umbreon deck. It has like Leafeon and like Snorlax and a Spursha City Gym. It's all this crazy stuff. So yeah, if you're interested, then check the video out right now.
The fan favorite Eevee and its many evolutions are back in Team Plasma form. Sadly, the last several sets of evolutions have been less than subpar. The last set of evolutions that was even remotely— Eeveelutions won Worlds in 2007. Yeah, anyway, these evolutions aren't the best at attacking, but they are chock full of useful abilities. Well, two of them are. The better of the two is Umbreon. Umbreon's ability, Dark Shade, gives all your Team Plasma Pokemon 20 plus HP. While giving your Pokemon just 20 HP extra isn't too much, with 3 or 4 Umbreons, all your Team Plasma Pokemon get 60 to 80 plus HP. Now, your EXs have anywhere from 230 to 260 depending on their original HP. You can even survive a hit from a Vacuum EX or a Quasi EX, and most weak attacks can only hope to 3-shot you. While Umbreon only has 100 HP, which by the way is a really bad number because it can't level ball for it, it gives itself 20 plus HP too, so Umbreon becomes anything but a free prize. The second evolution is Glaceon. Glaceon's ability, Freeze Zone, gives all your Team Plasma Pokemon 2 less retreat costs. This fixes the problem of bench sitters being catcher targets and lets you move your Pokemon around much easier. It also lets you take out switching cards to make space for your Eevees. There is one more evolution that can fit into your deck, even though it's an older one. Some of you might know what I'm talking about, and that's Espeon from Dark Explorers. This card was actually played a little bit back in the day to counter Excelgor Vileplume Chandelure. Espeon's ability makes all your Pokemon with energy attached to them immune to all effects of attacks except damage. This really only helps against one Pokemon, and that's Cobalion EX. It prevents him from discarding your special energy with Righteous Edge, which is pretty good if you're using all special energy. It also works against Thunderous Noise, Excelgor, and Articuno EX if anyone uses those. Now that we've looked at our evolutions, we need attackers to go with them. Of course, the best Plasma attackers are the ones from Plasma Basics, so Thundurus EX, Deoxys EX, and Kyurem to be exact. Now that we have our attackers, let's make our deck list. Just like Electric, you want 3 Umbreons out, but you run 4 because of one's prize. That's bad. I didn't have much room for Espeon, so you can take out an Umbreon if you want it, but if you don't expect Cling Clang, then just keep the 4 Umbreon. Only 1 Glaceon because there's not much room for more than that. Thundurus EX is your best starter, and you usually don't have the resources to get Kyurem out turn 1, so Thundurus is it. Speaking of Kyurem, we have 2 Kyurem in this deck. It's the only heavy hitter you have, so 2 of them is an obvious inclusion. Only 1 Deoxys as opposed to the usual 4 because your bench is going to be full of evolutions, so you won't need 4 of them per Power Connect. But Deoxys is an absolute beast if your opponent decides to use Deoxys or Mewtwo, because they can't revenge kill you because you have such high HP. This list has 6 ball cards, none of which are Plasma Ball. The reason for this is I would always draw Plasma Ball in the early game where I wanted to search out Eevees. I've tried out all the combinations of balls, Plasma Ball plus Level Ball, Plasma Ball plus Ultra Ball, etc., and this split is my favorite. The one switch is just in case you need to switch in the early game before you draw Glaceon, or when you want to reset the effect on Blizzard Burn. Discarding evolutions with Ultra Ball and Juniper happens way too often, and Eevees get killed a lot early game, so I included a Super Rod to get them back. For the most part, this deck is meh. The deck is substantially weaker than its Deoxys-focused counterpart. Raiden Knuckle and Frost Spear aren't too great after the first few turns, and Blizzard Burn can no longer one-shot EXs. Umbreon also requires a lot more setup compared to Deoxys. Deoxys you can just drop the card down or draw Plasma Ball. With Umbreon, you need to have an Eevee out first, but if you manage to set up 3 Umbreons and a Glaceon, most decks can't deal enough damage and they get slowed down just as much as you do. To be fair, I haven't tested with this deck as much as I would have liked, but I'll definitely continue to test with it, and I'll let you guys know how it's been going in the next Mix-Up episode. There is an alternative to Glaceon, though. Keldeo with Float Stone helps Kyurem out a lot more, since Kyurem still has one retreat with Glaceon in play, and it's pretty hard to use an attack after you use Blizzard Burn. Keldeo is a bit clunkier though. If you don't have a Float Stone on it, it's useless, and you don't have room for too many Float Stones, so it's Keldeo's prize, or if you only had enough room for the one Float Stone and its prize, you have no way to move your Pokemon around, and anything without energy becomes a catcher target. So, since I didn't quite match my expectations, I felt I'd owed it to myself to try something else with Umbreon. What other Plasma attackers could work with Umbreon? Well, there's always Snorlax. The main problem with Snorlax is you need far too much energy, and with only 130 HP, you can lose several turns of work from just one attack. Umbreon helps keep your energy preserved long enough to stream multiple of them. I haven't tested much with the original version, but I haven't tested at all with this one. Here's the list anyway, I guess. Even though Cabal EX sucks for this deck, I excluded Espeon as an option because it isn't compatible with Team Pack. If you're really interested in running Espeon, I highly recommend a Plasma badge as well, but that may get a bit too clunky. Speaking of non-Plasma Pokemon, I also took out Keldeo for the same reason. I also didn't include Glaceon because Snorlax has 4 retreat anyways, so Glaceon will be very helpful. A noticeable decision is no Hypnotoxic Laser in this deck. Since Team Pack can already reach 180, Laser just doesn't seem that worth it in a deck that's so tight on space. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory, so I'll get back to you when I've tested this deck.
And there you go. That's episode mix-up for today. The Umbreon, pretty much just Umbreon deck. Sorry for the kind of short episode. I just didn't have much to say. It's just, here's the deck idea, here's the list, here's how it did. Bada bing, bada boom. There's an episode. Also, don't mind the hair. I just took a shower, so it's all flat, not all puffy. So anyway, I definitely will continue to test with Umbreon, both the Thundurus Deoxys Kyurem build and the Snorlax Thundurus build. I like both the ideas, so I will continue using those, and I'll let you guys know in the next mix-up episode. I might do a episode in between those episodes. I have another idea for a mini-series called Mix-Up Work in Progress, which is, that progress report, one of those two. And I'll, say testing results, just pretty much the results of the testing from decks I've previously talked about. So, yeah. So, yes, for 2 weeks from now, next episode of just straight mix-up, let's just say we're going to teach an old dog some new tricks.
And I think I know just the guy who could teach him those tricks.
Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Later.